Okay, and let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Um, let's go ahead and hit enable manual captioner. Ooh, this could be cool. Or have it automatically do it. Uh-oh. We are trying some new things, so this could be a little different now that we're back for this year. Go ahead and hit record. Ah, there we go. And let's go ahead and hit live on the Instagram. All right. Start. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing? Welcome back to 2024. So we are still doing our Freedom Tea Talks. We are definitely exploring different times and ways that we might go about presenting it, because I realize everyone isn't always available at this time. And there's also the space of realistically, neither am I. Today, we are jumping into the prelude. If you haven't seen recently, we are definitely doing a Strong Friends boot camp. This will be happening towards the end of this month, and it is absolutely connected to another pretty amazing opportunity that I cannot wait to be sharing with all the amazing, beautiful women in the world that totally qualify under this category. So, with that being said, and no further ado, and welcome back, and thank you all for showing up and hanging out with us. I even wrote notes because I was so excited and wanted to make sure that I covered all the things, all the ways, and give you guys all the deets so you can totally identify what type of friend are you. And while we're looking at what type of friends we are, the benefit at looking at this is because there's a certain point in time where I hope you all realize and recognize there is a beauty towards ensuring that you are actually your own friend first, hence the whole ideal and concept of self-care, that if you aren't caring for yourself, how then are you going to be caring for other people in a bigger capacity? So, not that you can't do it, but how can you do it in a bigger capacity? And that starts with and looks like being able to notice that you are absolutely doing what you need to do for you. You're giving yourself the opportunity and the space to totally show up how you want to. Hey, I see you guys out there on LinkedIn, the Facebooks, the YouTubes. I appreciate you all for jumping in and joining in, because you truly could be anywhere else in the world. And the fact that you chose to be here with me this morning, as I try to adjust for the glare of having a ring light do its thing, but also wanting to be able to see and not blind myself. Hello again. Nice seeing y'all this morning. So as we're identifying these, I see you out there on IG, Fit with Three, Claudine. We're looking at three different types of friends. So one is the strong friend. Everybody's got a pretty good idea and clear picture of that, but I'm still going to be breaking it down. The second one, I would say, is kind of like the peaceful friend or okay friend. And we'll dig into this. The last one, believe it or not, is the goddess friend. And that's the one that we're trying to navigate and move through. So if you were to look at different views and ways of functioning, there's the idea of functioning from going from a space of surviving to existing to thriving. Keeping that in mind and looking at these different friend types can give you a little bit of a background of how we're going to go about this. So, the strong friend, this is the friend that everybody always knows is always handling their business. This is the friend that's always showing up for everybody. And I like to look at it in the way of, if you need to call somebody for a particular thing, you're definitely going to call your strong friend if things are about to get active or some stuff is about to be happening. That's the friend that you don't have to wonder. Like, all you have to do is boop, 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 boop. Hey, it's going down. They got you. No matter what they're doing, they are about to drop what they're doing. They're going to show up, show out, and they got you no matter what. Now, what that also looks like on the background is while you can depend on that strong friend in that same space, what happens is you might not call that friend if you are in a place where maybe you just need someone to listen and have empathy and not give that tough love, or they're not usually the person that gets called on when you're looking at, I just want someone to tell me it's okay and that my feelings are all right. This is the friend you call when you need that like swift kick or that little extra to keep yourself going and moving. That's the friend you call that lets you know, F everybody, you're great, you're the best. I'm not trying to hear nothing less than that. Let's go get it. That same strong friend, because I took my notes, on the background at work, the way they show up. And I'll just share different areas and locations of how this happens. The way they show up is that is the employee that's always got everybody's back, that's giving you the details, that's telling you the ropes, that's letting you know how what's the culture of the company like. How do you either do your job better? How do you get out of doing your job? Like whatever the things are, this is that person that pretty much is the gatekeeper of all the dirt, knows all the things, and makes all the stuff happen. When it's time for a clutch or a Hail Mary, time to make some stuff happen, like hitting numbers, getting people to show up and show out, this is the person that usually gets called when there is a problem. They are the cleaner, the sweeper upper. They make all the things and problems that were not going to go over well go away. That's the person, like I said, that's keeping all the secrets to the company stuff. This is also the person that ends up training everybody, whether they are or aren't in that supervisory position. So depending on where you're at in your career and life, you may be the actual supervisor, and then this ends up being the supervisor that everybody wants to be supervised by or managed by, because this person has established themselves as the supervisor, manager, the leadership person that not only helps people do their jobs well, but helps them be a better person, no matter what. This is that supervisor that they can call whenever about whatever. And again, if you need some action, you're calling the strong friend. You're calling that person in whatever role or capacity. At home, usually, not always, this tends to be the mom, the woman, the wife, the big sister that is taking care of everybody else's needs. This person probably has a job, is going to school, has all the things, and is also still taking care of every other person that's around them. Let's say you live by yourself. You're like, that can't be me. Well, you're the person that's always at somebody else's house or letting somebody come stay at your place and always making sure that they're good at your inconvenience. At your inconvenience. But everyone always appreciates how you show up and how you make those things happen for them. In the community, this looks like you going and taking on all the jobs, doing all the things, volunteering for all the sports, bringing all the snacks to the little league things, doing all that stuff, even though you literally do not have the time for it at all. It is that woman, usually almost 9 out of 10 times. And to be fair, you can flip this and look at, okay, what men are the strong friends? Because there's definitely the same thing within men, women, or however you identify. There is that person that's the strong person. You are giving all of your time away. You're spending your weekends, your off time, giving to your local area. And maybe that looks like the homeless shelter. Maybe it looks like local sports teams. It may look like starting a project in, I don't know, a garden, or you're always doing the things. People always know that if they need someone to show up to make something happen, again, you're the person that gets called. What happens on the backside of all of that, these are things that I'm totally going to share about and talk about when we're going through the Strong Friends Boot Camp. But this is how that person shows up, and this is what everybody sees on the outside. They see that this person always shows up. They always seem to have things together. They always are accomplishing 2 to 3 times more than what everyone else believes is capable of doing in a 24-hour period. And it seems like they never, you just wonder, when are they sleeping? Because they're always doing all the things. Now, we're going to move along. because today is just about explaining the dynamics. Again, if you haven't already, you absolutely should be signing up for the Strong Friends Bootcamp. If you're already starting to identify and you're like, oh my God, so like what do I do now? Like, I'm totally gonna tell you, but just not today. The next friend, the peaceful friend, or the okay friend. This is the friend or the person, the woman that nothing ever seems to be really, really major, but nothing ever seems to be, like really, really great or really, really bad. They're always kind of even killed. They maybe are doing a job that doesn't require a lot of them, but they show up, they clock in, they go home. They may or may not have this is the friend within a friend group that's kind of always available to check in and maybe say hi and make sure that people remember other people's like birthdays or significant events. They may not necessarily contribute and always show up. This isn't usually the friend you're going to call if things get active, because this is the person that's kind of like, I'm probably not going to be going to jail for nobody if that's what it requires. I'm definitely not going to be putting myself in a position that I'm uncomfortable with. And for the most part, this person has maybe always had a strong belief or feelings about things that will put them in a position where they may be viewed from the outside. They're always like, oh, this is the person that's always like good. They're a good person. This is a good person. This is a good friend. This is a really sweet, kind person. This is the person that people think, man, they're just so freaking nice. In contrast to the strong friend that can sometimes be perceived as like a bulldog or like, that hardcore go-getter. The peaceful or okay friend is the one that everybody undeniably feels like is just a really nice person. They're like a great person to know because they always seem to hold space for other people, not excessively, but just enough. Like when they show up, you're like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. You might not take them out to the club. You might not also invite them maybe to a heavy religious thing or spiritual event, but you just like them. They're just there. This person on the back end might experience things like wondering why people like them, but may or may not engage more deeply. There always seems to be more attention that's headed towards the strong friend or the goddess friend. So, with that being said, this peaceful, okay friend is always there, but isn't usually recognized for their main supporting role in the friendship dynamics or the different locations or things that are happening within their home. So at work, this is the person that maybe has been there for 20 to 30 plus years. And I know these types of statistics are going to start to change and shift over time because people aren't necessarily choosing to stay anywhere for that length of time unless it tends to be their own businesses. But this is that person that's always like, oh, yeah, she's been here forever and hasn't necessarily moved up in management, doesn't really have these massive like goals or always trying to create or do something, isn't even necessarily wanting any of the things that it looks like the strong friend or the goddess friend have. They're just really content and peaceful. This is what we're seeing on the outside. On the inside, like I said, we'll definitely talk more about that in the Strong Friends Boot Camp. But on the outside, they present and appear to be okay. They appear to be at peace, to be content, to, not really want for much or need much. And whatever they receive from you, from other people, from the strong friend, from the goddess friend, from people that are even blatant a-holes, they're receiving it, they're accepting it, they're taking it for what it is. They're not asking for, seeking, or searching for more than that. This is also the friend that a lot of times the strong friend ends up doing the most for and feels the need and necessity to protect because they're not doing it for themselves. They're not advocating for what they need, what they want, or how they want people to treat them. They're like, oh, passive. If you need to look at who's aggressive, strong, the peaceful or okay friend is pretty passive and is not getting their needs met, but doesn't seem to want or need anything because they don't speak up, and people will tend to notice them as a placeholder. and maybe even treat them as such. Now, moving on to our last friend type, or, you know, model of a person, or how you can show up. And please understand, all of these three different ones, you can totally move back and forth between these different spaces at different times and different areas of life, depending on where you're at, what you're looking for, and just notice how that happens and shows up. So this last goddess friend, this is the person that on the outside, it's almost like no matter what happens or what they do, anytime they show up, everybody's like more than even the peaceful or okay friend. Everyone's like, man, I just don't get, like, she always actually seems to be happy. Like genuinely, you feel the happiness, the um love of self, the love of other people. You feel it exuding out of her. Like when you're around her, you're like, man, I feel like I want to like myself more, because you can see how, you can see, feel, and experience how much she's loving and caring on herself. She's ultimately the epitome of what self-care looks like, feels like, tastes like, all the things. Now, that doesn't mean that she maybe is like spending all the bands and got all the stuff going, but there's just a genuine essence about her where she's made peace with who she is, what she wants, and doesn't have a problem with exploring, asking for, and advocating for herself. But at the same time, what that has to mean or has to look like is she's also not going to overextend herself for anyone else, in the sense that if she doesn't have the time, she doesn't overcommit herself to things that she can't actually show up for. She doesn't put herself in a position where she's creating expectations and setting standards of how she is with people that she cannot maintain. She's not sending her representative in to take care of her and support her. The strong friend may have a pretty major, intense representative that shows up that isn't always the most authentic, true version of who that strong friend is on the inside, but it is who they've had to become in order to survive what they've survived in life. The goddess friend is someone who's been able to have had some experiences, some challenges, some things happen in their life, and has chosen to decide how they want to still show up, care for themselves, and care for other people without causing harm to others, with um, ensuring that she gives herself the time and space to decide, what do I even want, and why do I want that, and how do I want to go about pursuing it. She's comfortable with reaching out for help and support when she needs it, because she is clear on what it is she wants. She's totally okay with not receiving it from certain people, and understanding that if this is what she is supposed to be doing, she's going to get it anyways. And it's going to happen in the way that's going to make the most sense for her. What she also knows is that every time she shows up, she doesn't need to put on a performance. Her existence is the show out. Her being her is the gift in and of itself. So anything else that comes from that is just extra. It's just cherries on top. The goddess friend is ultimately that evolution of all the various different versions of how a person can show up, embodying the one that works the most and best at all times for her. She is the evolution of being clear and aware of who you are as a person. She's the one that is encouraging everybody to go be great and do great things, and also take no shit in the meantime, and doing so in a graceful, almost methodical way that's like, man, I would have loved to have been rejected the way by her, the way that she did that. It would have been cool to actually be on the receiving end of all the things that she had to offer, because she did so gracefully and so peacefully and intentionally, that you don't have to wonder if the experience you're having with her is authentic or real or not, or if she's being fake. You can tell that it felt real, and it may jar or kind of cause you to need to question yourself if this isn't something, one, that you're used to, but two, if you're like, okay, so if I like this person and I just like that she exists, what is it that I like about her? And you can't exactly put your finger on it, but you just know that it's real. You know that there's something there or something that's evolved because you may even know this goddess. You may know her and you know, like she had some real massive, horrific stuff happen. And yet she's still able to show up and be empathetic, show compassion, um, and be there for you when you need it, as well as when she's available, so that you're getting that version of her that you actually genuinely like and care for, instead of maybe a rushed, overwhelmed, burnt out version that comes from the strong friend or the peaceful, okay friend that's hoping that maybe you'll notice her for real this time, and that she might get some accolades because she's not willing to do it for herself. So these three different types, if you have signed up for the Strong Friends Bootcamp, you will get some extra info and tidbits about these particular types and about the things that we're definitely going to be going through in the Strong Friends Bootcamp. Because what I love is for more women to be able to make that transition from being the strong friend to maybe holding space to be the peaceful, okay friend as you need to, so that you can recover and recuperate, that it gives you the space and opportunity to truly start to embody your version of you as the goddess friend. And this is the woman that is caring for herself first and caring for others out of the overflow of abundance, as well as ensuring that the things that she's signing up for are the things that are going to not only add value to her life, but also to the people that she cares about in a very meaningful way. This person is looking at, how do I intentionally restructure and set my life up? Oh, thank you on IG. Yes, the nails, every once in a while, got to do the thing. Um, but she's setting herself up in a way to move through the world to her own drums, to her own beat, and not stepping on anybody else's path or stealing their show in the interim. Better yet, holding the reality and the possibilities that you too can be doing the same, and we both can be doing it at the same time, our own ways, which means people get to connect to that many more great, amazing people because we're willing to show up as ourselves instead of trying to duplicate someone else's version and or block out how great we really are in that peaceful, okay friend status, or pretend that we can do it all in our strong friend energy. So I can't wait to share more info about some of the areas that we can look at of how to change it. So when you see that opportunity to go through the actual cohort that will be after the free boot camp, when there's the opportunity, like, okay, now let's get to work. Now that we know what we know, you're not going to want to miss out on this. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you show up and that you give yourself the opportunity to come through and just embody your version of your goddess friend energy and start doing what really works for you, because the world is waiting for you to be you in your most authentic, beautiful, amazing way. But when you're stuck in these various different roles because that's what everybody else is used to, and again, we didn't even talk about what happens on the inside of what you feel like versus what everybody sees, it looks different. It looks very, very different once you decide that you're making a transition and a change. And it's not effortless, but it does require the payoff is worth it. So I want to thank you all for showing up with me today. And we'll definitely be hosting more Freedom Tea Talks. If you haven't, by the time you're listening to this, signed up for the Strong Friends Bootcamp, please do so. If it has already passed, then know and understand that if I share another one, you don't want to miss out on it for sure, because there's so much that is available for you when you're willing to give it to yourself. And if someone's willing to give you the cheat code, hence condensing the life of experiences to figure it out, to get there quicker, why wouldn't you? So do sign up. I believe it's happening towards the end of this month. I know the dates are posted, so I don't have to memorize it. So show up, show out, Get the info. Let's start figuring out how we can make this transition into our goddess friend energy. And while the strong friend is necessary, there's a time and a place for how she should show up. Just as our peaceful, okay friend, that there's a time and place for when you need to maybe rest and sit back and, take a little breather and not be fighting everybody's fight for them, but also not being ignored because you didn't choose to. Um, well, with that, I hope you all have an amazing day. And when you listen to the replay, that it just gets even more amazinger and that you know that you are pretty dope and awesome. And it can only get better from here if you choose to allow it. I will see you all very, very soon. And for all of you lucky folks that are on the Strong Friends Bootcamp, I'm absolutely going to be seeing y'all. You're going to be getting some more raw, uncut information that everybody will not get access to. So if you're wondering like, oh, she'll probably share it later, I won't, because I only want to share with the people that want to show up for themselves. I'm not sharing stuff this year. Newsflash, but 2024, I'm definitely sharing information and giving stuff because that's who I am and that's what I do. I'm not giving all the gems and diamonds to folks that aren't interested in getting them. That doesn't make sense. Only the people that want it are the people that I'm supposed to be giving that info to. Like who does that? Who gives away all the jewels and all the everything and pearls and all that to people that aren't interested in it? Somebody that's probably in that okay, peaceful friend status because she didn't learn yet that her value and her worth was so much greater than what she thought it was, that you really do need to reserve that for the folks that not only want it, but can reciprocate and respect it back. With that, I will be seeing y'all so much sooner but later. And I hope y'all have an amazing day. Do sign up for that Strong Friends Bootcamp. I can't wait to share more information. And if you catch this on the replay, great, because it will only be up for a limited amount of time. Very intentional because I want to make sure that the right people are getting access to the info, but they also, give a little commitment too on it. So see you all later. Have a great day.